So, the CEO of the world's most valuable company just told his employees that AI might kill everything they've built. Satya Nadella admits that he's haunted by the possibility that Microsoft's biggest business could become irrelevant. So, why is the man who led Microsoft to a $4 trillion valuation terrified that his own AI strategy might destroy the empire he's created? What does it mean when a CEO tells employees that products that they've, quote, loved for 40 years may not matter, end quote, anymore? Today I'm breaking down Satya Nadella's shocking town hall confession and why even Microsoft leadership thinks that they might be the next DEC or Digital Equipment Corporation, which moved into irrelevance and it was lost. Let's dive into this topic today. So Microsoft CEO just delivered the most honest assessment of AI danger. So while companies are hyping AI as their savior, Nadal is warning that it might actually be their executioner for Microsoft's case. This isn't marketing spin or investment theater, or is it? There's a CEO here who sounds generally terrified that technology that his company is betting everything on could actually make them obsolete. Now, before we dive into this corporate existential crisis, drop me a comment. It's genuinely my favorite thing, and the best compliment you can give me is to leave a comment down below, even if it's nothing more than just say hi. I want to hear your thoughts about whether you think Microsoft's right, whether you think Nadal is just being a drama queen, or what you think is going on here. So let's jump into some of these articles here. All right, so Satya Nadella is haunted at the prospect of Microsoft not surviving the AI era. Worries about missing the AI market might explain the culture fear some Microsoft employees are experiencing. Now, and I love ad pop-ups. They're my favorite thing. Microsoft CTO Satya Nadella warns employees at company talent haunted by one particular, right? He says that he expressed deep concern about the company's ability to adapt to rapidly evolving landscape of artificial intelligence, fearing irrelevance like the DEC. He acknowledges employees' feedback, but he's also saying that this is the time to move, right? Speaking at an employee-only town hall, Nadella was responding to a question about a perceived change in the company's culture. So somebody was worried about, like, why are you doing so many layoffs? Like, you guys are changing company culture. And he's sitting here saying that he thinks and is worried that this will move them to total irrelevance. Some of the biggest businesses we've built might not be as relevant going forward. Now, could this be talking about Windows? I think it could, because quickly I think people are caring less and less about the operating system that's running on the computer. And honestly, we've hit a point where I can't even tell you a single feature of the operating system in the last 10 years. And so, quickly, we're moving away from a point. I'm using Windows on most of my daily machines because of driver support. That's honestly what it really comes down to. Is Windows has some of the best driver support, and I just don't have time to just dork around with drivers. So here on my streaming machine, I'm using Windows because of that. But that's going to become growingly and increasingly irrelevant. He cites DEC as a cautionary tale of a once dominant tech company that disappeared after it failed to adapt to new technologies like the risk in architecture. Our industry is full of case studies of companies that were great once that just disappeared. I'm haunted by one particular called DEC, adding a leader in the early 70s. So this is definitely dating, right? Faced competition from IBM and others. The CEO who said his first computer was a DEC VAX also wanted to work there. Some of the people who contributed to Windows NT came from DEC Lab that was laid off. And he said that's kind of the beginning of Windows. Microsoft CEO recently told employees that the company needs to do better in rebuilding trust with its workforce. I deeply appreciate the question and the sentiment behind it. I take it as a feedback from me and everyone on the leadership team. Now, why does he think that they could be going away? It's because we are seeing changes in the industry, right? Things are shifting very quickly, and we're going to see things move faster. Nadella told employees that he's haunted by this story. But he explicitly said our industry is full of case studies of companies that were great once that just disappeared. Now, Microsoft's $4 trillion, so they're kind of in the category of too big to fail. But we're going to say that anybody can fail. I actually have a thing on my wall over here of a BlackBerry that's taken apart because I actually had that BlackBerry for a long time and it was my daily driver. You can't buy a BlackBerry anymore, right? I think that's actually a more relevant example than most people would understand here. Microsoft is committed to allocating $80 billion of its cash to supporting AI data centers, significantly more than Google and Meta combined. So while investing billions into AI, Microsoft has eliminated over 15,000 positions globally in 2025 alone. Now, I will throw a little caveat into there because I really actually think this is actually layoffs from the COVID over hiring when money was free. So these companies staffed up, got as many employees as they could, mad grab of employees, and now they just quickly, just slowly over the years voted people off the island. So I think that's still part of the COVID overhiring, in my opinion. But Nadella describes the layoffs as, quote, among the most difficult we've had to make decisions he's talking about, while simultaneously ramping up AI spending. So the company reached a market capitalization of over $4 trillion, predominantly due to its multi-billion-dollar investment in generative AI. So this creates a paradox. They're firing people to fund the AI that might replace the products that those people built. When your AI strategy requires massive layoffs to fund technology that might make your core business irrelevant, you're basically paying to potentially destroy yourself. Now, that's a little dramatic, and we all know that Microsoft's not going to go away as a $4 trillion company. But Nadella bluntly told employees, quote, all the AI categories that we may have even loved for 40 years may not matter, end quote. Now, part of this is also Nadella being a little dramatic, right? And so when I'm talking about him being dramatic on this, is you have to understand he's trying to layer in um, it's a bit of fear mongering for his employees, right? One of the biggest scare tactics it has right now is that AI might replace your job. So when my oldest son was quarterback, one of the biggest things he was for his high school football team, one of the biggest things he was scared of wasn't actually even losing the game. It was that his competitor behind him would replace him, that the coach would call in at any play, that coach could call in and replace him because he wasn't performing well. So in this kind of a case, that fear in the back of his mind of being replaced always drove him to do better. I think that's a little bit of what Nadal is doing here with AI. I think he's making it that scary skeleton in the closet that's going to jump out and replace you, right? Nadal says, quote, some of the biggest businesses we've built might not be as relevant going forward, end quote. And he warned that too during this town hall. So with products like Office Suite accounting for roughly a fifth of Microsoft revenue, he acknowledged that AI could erode even their strongest businesses. So if you're Office and I can go to Claude AI and have it generate a document for me, like the ability for me to want to pay for my Office license dramatically goes down. So that's what he's acknowledging, right? He said Microsoft leaders need to focus on building quote, what's secular in terms of expectation instead of being in love with whatever they've built in the past. And that I fully agree with, right? If you're not constantly innovating, you're not constantly pushing the bill, you have to be pushing that or else you're going to get replaced. So this isn't gradual evolution. He's talking about potentially abandoning decades of successful products if AI makes them obsolete. So when your CEO is essentially giving you a eulogy speech for products that are currently printing money, you know that there's a possible disruption coming. Now, Nadella revealed that up to 30% of Microsoft's code is now written by artificial intelligence. Now, hold off for a minute. That's saying that everybody's using Tab to auto-complete their line, right? There's a lot of stuff going into these metrics. But again, as we know, building software is three parts. It's technology, people, and process, right? That's a very common thing to understand in building software. So even if technology replaces part of that, that sounds about like 30%, right? This means nearly 1/3 of the software that running Microsoft Empire now it sounds like 1/3 of the software is generated by AI. That's not really how it works. There's a portion of the easy, dumb boilerplate code that's getting written by AI. It's a great new tool. Now, he made these comments during a conversation with Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg at LlamaCon, showing how AI coding has become industry standard. Now, if AI is already starting to come into a lot of the coding standards, we need to watch and look at how this is being used. Now, a UK-based Microsoft employee described the company's atmosphere as, quote, markedly different, colder, more rigid, and lacking in the empathy we have come to value. So Microsoft was known to value its employees and to keep them around at all costs. This has definitely shifted over the last 5 years. So instead of dismissing the critique, Nadal admitted, quote, I deeply appreciate that, the question and the sentiment behind it, end quote. The combination of massive layoffs and aggressive AI investment is creating a toxic work environment where some employees fear being replaced. Now, like I said, you can, and as I just said in my video the other day, you can either sit around and mope and say, oh, AI's good, or you can dive in and learn how to do stuff with AI. Like, this is your time to upskill yourself. So they need to, this is your time to learn that and to dive in and to learn. Now, here at Startup Pack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work to maximum efficiency. So check out startuppack.com/Spencer because we'd love to help you out. Now, Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI is seemingly fraying, especially after OpenAI announced a $500 billion valuation recently. Microsoft bet their AI future on OpenAI, but now OpenAI is building infrastructure that could compete with Microsoft's cloud business. There's a DeepSeek threat earlier this year that forced Nadella to set up a virtual war room on Microsoft Teams to coordinate a response. And so a lot of these other open source models are starting to really threaten Microsoft's dominance, because if you don't have to go to Microsoft to get those models and you can just stand up a server like I did for $500 under my desk, that's a threat to Microsoft Azure. Microsoft's AI strategy depends on maintaining exclusive access to technology that's becoming increasingly commoditized. So Nadella said, quote, "When Bill founded Microsoft, he envisioned not just a software company, but a software factory. That idea has guided us for decades, but today it's no longer enough," end quote. Now that's huge. That's a big shift. It clearly shows a shift in where Microsoft's going. He wants the company to shift its focus on security, quality, and AI transformation at its core business priorities. Now, Nadella drove the company to success when he came on and focused on cloud, right? That was his big shift when he first came on. So Nadella's pretty good at spotting market trends. I'm going to give the guy credit for that. This represents a fundamental abandonment of software development model that has made Microsoft successful. Instead of building software products, they're trying to become an AI service company, completely different business model. So the problem is they're competing against Google, Amazon, OpenAI, who are all pursuing the same AI services strategy. When you abandon your competitive advantage to chase a crowded market, you're kind of starting to start from scratch. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about Microsoft's move here. Is it a good strategy? Are they just going to have to keep up with the market, or what? But Microsoft's aggressive cost controls involve eliminating over 15,000 positions while revenue hits record high and the stock surpassed $500 per share. They're using AI to reduce headcount while simultaneously worrying that AI will make their plans irrelevant. So there's a bit of contradiction here. Microsoft is creating a talent shortage in the middle of the biggest technological shift. Now, I'm curious about all of this, right? Because Microsoft's impressive earning report showed $76 billion in revenue, up 18% year over year, and attributed to cloud and AI business. And some of the margin that we love today might not be there tomorrow, Nadella cautions. The current AI boom is driving revenue, but Nadella knows it's also undermining the foundation of the revenue. Office 365, Windows licensing, and Azure services could all be disrupted by AI that makes traditional software obsolete. So when your growth strategy threatens your core revenue streams, you're basically sawing off the branch you're sitting on. So Microsoft is all in on this AI race, and they have to be, because otherwise they're going to get left behind. So this is another last quote. Quote, "Us as a company, us as leaders, knowing that we are really only going to be valuable going forward if we build with secular in terms of expectation," end quote. Nadella believes survival depends on proving Microsoft can remain relevant, quote, "instead of being in love with whatever we've built in the past." Now, this is super important, because if you're only if you're attached to your project as your baby and you don't want to let go, you have to be able to be willing to move with the market trends. The most valuable company in the world is essentially admitting that they may not survive the AI revolution unless they can continue to adapt and innovate faster. Now, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a great discussion. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out if your company needs help, because we'd love to help you out. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer and here's some great information about our services.
Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment, perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer.